The current population of the planet of the world has reached 7.3 billion. Already 10 years ago, producing enough food for 12 billion people, yet still 10 billion people on Earth die from chronic malnutrition. Among these, 35% in Africa, 18% Asia, 14% in Latin America are suffering from chronic malnutrition. Astoundingly, a total of 550 million people still suffer from hunger. 850 million people suffer from chronic malnutrition. Half of the Earth is starving. The culprits aren't droughts, typhoons, floods, and not even wars. Someone's slowing down the supply and distribution of the abundant food for far too long. Their purpose is to maximize their own profit by using food supply. They monopolize half of the grain supply and manipulate prices with the sole purpose to maximize their own profits. Financial capitalism has already pushed aside the conventional forms of capitalism, such as the industrial, trade, and service capitalism, to surface as the one and only reigning one. Consequently, its force to prioritize and maximize profit can be felt in all areas of today's society. Undeniably, the rise of the stocks related to food prices from all over the world is leaving a trail of devastating consequences for world hunger. The onset of the industrial development in the 19th century paved the road for buyers from all corners of the world to purchase large quantities of agricultural products in Europe. The powerful colonial powers were dedicated to cultivating cacao for the British chocolate factories in Ghana, sisal from Tanzania, tea from Rwanda, and peanut from Senegal. Those countries eventually celebrated their independence, but they still find themselves harvesting and selling a single item at a much lower price than the standard exports. In September 2000, the then UN Secretary Kofi Annan had gathered the heads of states of 192 countries. In the wake of the new millennium, the major tragedies that have followed mankind were an agenda to explore options and find a strategic solution to resolve them for once and for all. Titled the Millennium Development Goals, and the first one was to reduce in half the number of famine victims by 2015. There was strong resistance. From 2008 to 2012, the number of victims catapulted, doubling the price of stocks related to food prices, especially becoming catastrophic to poverty-stricken areas. In September 2015, the Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, just like his predecessor, was infuriated by the world crisis and set forth a new strategy. At a place where heads of states and governments were present, the Agenda 2030 and urgent reforms to be made were presented. This meant war against the invisible force of 17 different calamities these countries had to fight for 15 years. The set goal was not to reduce the number of people starving to death, but to stop for once and for all the genocide. Agenda 2030's number one goal and second goal are to end famine and poverty, and a solution was needed. That is why all of you are here today as representatives to attend the blockchain finance implementation for poverty eradication and metropolis policies organized by the ISEA.